So here we are at Tedderfield, and we're going to introduce you to two remarkable gentlemen who have built this magnificent RV10. So Ian and Theo, this beautiful RV10, brand spanking new. Now you started building this when?
So I started with the empennage in about 2015, and then took me about 6 months working on Theo to get a partner to join me to finish the build. So we were flying in another aircraft syndicate together, and I got to know him really well, and that's how we got going.
And Theo, so you got involved, and how do you feel about being part of a project like this?
Superb. It really was an excellent learning experience and also an interesting one.
And what partnership were you involved in earlier?
So we've got a share, or I have a share, both of us have a share in Pegasus, an aircraft standing outside there, which Theo actually in the 70s
Already became a syndicate member in 1975 in Pegasus.
On Pegasus?
Yeah, so I learned to fly a tail dragger in Peggy while I was busy building an RV7.
Yes, because this is not your first project. In fact, what number is this project?
Well, in my case, my first project was building a very easy with my then girlfriend, now my wife, in 1977. And in 75 I got involved in Pegasus, but that build was pretty slow. She eventually flew in 92. And I'm still a member in that syndicate. So this one was then number 3.
And how many members do you have in that syndicate?
In the Pegasus syndicate, there are 5 of us.
5 of you. And is it working?
Very well.
That's good to hear.
It's a really cheap way to fly a really interesting aeroplane that if you don't fly it, it lets you know. So it's a good trainer. And it taught me to tail drag, actually, Peggy, while I was busy building an RV7. So I started the 7 in 2007, and we first flew it in 2013. And I've now got 1,200 hours.
In that same RV7?
Yes.
That's nice. That's lovely.
It's fantastic. The building of airplanes has been the most interesting and challenging thing that I've done in my life, I think. It really is.
And Ian, now you've got this kit fully constructed. Here it is on the floor. How many proving hours have you flown to date?
So we've got 23 hours on it to date, and we need 2 more, and we'll be submitting paperwork for our authority to fly, which means we can then go long distance. At the moment, we're limited to 100 kilometers from here.
From the base, yes. And how has she been performing? Is she performing as advertised?
Absolutely. Brilliant. There's just no way of criticizing. In fact, our build is so true that we haven't even put any trim tabs on the plane. She flies so straight and so true.
Yeah, so we paid a lot of attention to detail and getting things right. So the distance from the wingtip to the tail, over 5 meters, there's less than a millimeter difference from the left and the right side, which means that the aircraft is straight and therefore flies absolutely beautifully.
Hands off.
Hands off.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
And have you done all the relative work, such as stalls, bunts, steep turns?
Climb tests and descent and all the rest of it. Best rate of climb, all that we've done.
And so we've taken the test flying of these 25 hours very seriously. We've analyzed the data after every single flight, looking at, first of all, you've got to run the engine in. So temperatures and cylinder head temperatures and all of that sort of thing, we analyzed in quite a lot of detail. And plotted it on graphs and really got to understand what was happening inside our engine. We had a minor problem. We've got electronic ignition, and we were one of the early customers from EMAG for the 6-cylinder electronic ignition, and they had an upgrade which we needed to install, and we picked up a minor issue with that. Our RPM indication on one of the mags was not working. That's the only issue that we really had. But they replaced the ignitions for us, absolutely no problem. And we've been happy ever since. Really nice thing.
And in fact, because of the data logging on the Garmin G3, I've been able to download a lot of data, analyze on Excel, follow the data, and understand where some of the issues are, which we are currently addressing.
So guys, here we are. We've got the full view of the airplane here. Can you tell me how you chose this color scheme?
That's quite an interesting story. Sean, who used to be the test pilot for Sling, when we were discussing color schemes, he said, just don't put any waves on it. That is so passé. That same evening, I went home and I started drafting on the CAD, and certainly the fuselage is what I conceived. And then between Ian and my wife, we extended that design to the wings.
To the wings.
So all of the lines on the area actually straight. And when we were doing the painting, we had one of the guys from Sling, Oscar, to come and help. He actually held the gun and did the painting. But we used a laser to draw the lines, and he learnt a heck of a lot about how much, because the laser would get it absolutely perfect. He could put his tape down, he didn't believe it. And what would have taken him 2 or 3 days to do the layout, we did in a day because of using the technology.
Using the
Using
technology.
the laser to,
The laser
to follow the
technology.
line. So
And
he-
yet it looks curved because
It
of
does.
the curve of the
yeah,
wing.
but they are all straight lines.
So they are straight
Similar-
lines.
Similar to this line. If you line this up, it is perfectly straight from the tip of the wing to the front.
All the way down.
All the way down. It lines up 100% because of the laser.
Because
And,
of the laser.
and then the colors, so colors I wanted a blue, and the blue has turned out absolutely beautiful.
It's actually pure cyan, that
It
color.
is, it's a stunning color. And then I wanted Lamborghini orange on the wingtips. And we got it, and it was too orange. So it got tinted to become more red. So this is all 2K. So I didn't want to do metallic and so on, because you damage the spats or something. To fix it is always an issue. So anyway, that's where the red came. And actually it was we're very happy with it. And then underneath, when you see the thing in the air, from underneath, it's very striking because of the design.
Because of the design
Yeah.
of the colors.
Yes.
The colors are very striking against the sky.
And so I have built a number of radio control models in my time, and actually the design of the painting on the model makes the model. So getting the right kind of combination sort of helps. I mean, interesting thing, we'll tell the story, we carried the color scheme through, you'll see, into the seats. And Theo's wife, Sandy, said, oh, but look, you've even matched the color of the knobs, where we've got the black is the throttle, the blue is the the pitch, and the red is
the mixture.
Is the mixture. I said, yes, absolutely, Sandy. We got the FAA to actually specify that the blue knob had to be blue because of this error.
So Ian and Theo, you're now looking at the left-hand aileron.
So the first thing is, we made sure that our gaps are consistent. So this is a 4mm aeroplane, and the gaps between all of the control surfaces are 4mm. The key thing is we followed the plans.
Yeah.
And, we did what Vans specified.
Yeah, and then there was spring on the other side, on the right wing, which we had to adjust the tension just to centralize in their neutral state so that the flaps are aligned with the wingtips. That was just purely a slight tension adjustment.
And the spring does the trim. It is the trim mechanism. It connects
It
to the trim.
also has an actuator on it so that if in flight it's needed, it goes via the spring that it trims the ailerons. But we have so far not really needed it.
But the control itself, the aileron itself, has got
So in front there's a lead, there's a galvanized pipe in the leading edge of the aileron, which you rivet in, and that's straight off the plane.
So now getting into the RV10 is quite difficult because it's a low wing. So on either side, you've got the black patch there, which is strengthened so that you don't dent the wing.
Correct.
So once again, it's straight RV plans design. There's 4 or 5 wing ribs that sit in under here, and there's a doubler that sits under the skin. So as you step up onto it, you're stepping onto a strengthened area of the airframe. The other thing around the doors is to get a decent fit of the doors takes a lot of effort. And we spent a lot of time getting our doors really, really nicely fitted, that they seal and close beautifully. So we're very proud of the flushness of the fit of the doors, the way the whole thing hangs together.
And the door fitting was also quite a challenge. We spent a lot of time and effort to get a virtually perfect fit. I've compared it to many RVs. If you look at a typical RV, there's probably up to a 1/4 inch gap between the fuselage and the door. This door fits with maybe 1 to 2 millimeter gap. It is flush with the outside. We are very proud of this installation.
So once again, according to the plans, there's a large lead weight in here which you put in. Different to the RV10, the RV7, we didn't have to balance it as such. It came, the design of the difference between the 7 and the 10 in terms of build or quality of materials and the actual instructions is significant improvement. So we didn't have to do anything specific to balance it other than bolt it on here. And then once again, keeping the gaps correct and so on was the key challenge. And then when you put the thing together, making sure when you drill the last hole between the bell cranks that you get it absolutely straight, which we've done. So you get full movement. And once again, you put the protractor on, you're able to measure the movement, and it's all exactly according to the plans.
So tell me a little bit about what instrumentation you put into this beautiful airplane.
So we put in Garmin G3Xs. We got the 2 of them. There's a 255 Navcom radio, and then there's a chassis already built in for a 650. So it is fully IF capable and ready. We've got the autopilot and then a Garmin G5. So it's all Garmin equipment that we've got in here. So if you look at the color scheme on the seats, we've got a little bit of red trim with a blue, and Theo built this our center console, which we're quite pleased about, out of some carbon fiber and what have you, and it's really, really strong and rigid and it makes things very, very comfortable. And then here we've got our blue and red knob, so Sandy's blue knob to match the color of the seats, and it really holds it, pulls it all together quite nicely. Okay, and so we've taken our test flying quite seriously in the 23 hours that we've done. So Theo, why don't you talk a little bit about the data and so on that we've been looking at?
Yeah. Basically, one of the objectives with the test flying was to try and optimize our fuel consumption. And doing that, imperative with that is balancing the injectors. And that data is downloaded from the Garmin's, analyzed on Excel spreadsheets and graphs, seeing where the lean, to be able to fly lean of peak, you've got to understand which injectors go lean first and which last, and you need to try and get it to a very narrow spread. By getting it to a narrow spread, you optimizing each cylinder's power output and therefore optimize fuel consumption as well as economy. And that is the stage I'm finding myself in now with the data analysis, which also formed part of this morning's talk. That was a side issue, but a very important one for fuel flow and for people understanding fuel supply systems to the engine.
And you're only 2 hours away from in the test flying. What is your plan? Are you going to go take it on a long cross country as soon as you've reached the 25 hours?
Hoping to, yes, but the test flying will not stop at 24 hours. It will carry on because optimization will take a longer time than that.
So, our first plan is to get our wives into the aircraft with us. They've seen us messing around with it for so jolly long. And Carol, and we'll fly them away, probably to Bona or somewhere relatively close, and have a weekend away with our new toy. So the registration is India Tango Tango, which Theo's daughter pointed out stands for Ian and Theo's toy, which was pure chance. That was what the CAA gave us. So thank you, CAA.
You've come a long way together, the two of you, building this beautiful bird, and she's almost ready for the cross country. And despite everything, you're still friends.
Well, that's true, Ethel. Theo's still got to learn how to fly her properly.
That's a matter of opinion.
No, we've had a lot of fun, and it's been an exciting and challenging journey. Yeah. And I'm really glad as to the partner that I chose to do it with. we're very different in our outlooks. I just want to get stuff done, and Theo is far more methodical and slow. So the
More the engineer.
Yeah.
Think about it, think carefully, do it right.
and we've ended up as a result with an absolutely beautiful machine, and I think that's fantastic. And we're going to have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, thank you very much for being interviewed by African Pilot. I hope the audience loves this movie as much as we've enjoyed making it. And as much as you guys have enjoyed building this magnificent, beautiful RV10.
And Theo can actually fly.